friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. Today's video we're going to be talking about a topic that gets me very riled up and very heated. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know I feel very passionately about children's rights, protecting children, and specifically protecting children on the internet. In this case in particular, makes me very angry. So I'm not going to apologize for being very heated and very angry about this. I'm learning I need to not be apologizing for things that make me passionate. But I will say, if you're not interested in sort of an angry, heated video, this is not the video for you because I will be getting upset. Just want to start the video out by saying this situation makes me infuriated. This is actually not the video I was supposed to film today. This is not the video I was going to film today. I fell down this rabbit hole and I just felt so strongly that I needed to talk about it because I think more awareness needs to be spread about it. I think the more people that know things and the more people that can be informed, the better on situations like this. I think that it's helpful. So we're talking about it. We're going to talk about the 17 Diapers mom, or Hannah Hyatt, today. So you might be like me, and until today, you didn't know who Hannah Hyatt or the 17 Diapers mom was. So I am going to give a brief overview of who Hannah is. Hannah is a Utah-based mom talker who has amassed over 444,000 followers on TikTok. Her two sons, she has a newborn and a 2-year-old. I won't be sharing their names, and I will not be sharing any clips that they are featured in this video. I just already don't think that content should be on the internet. I'm not going to put it on this video. I think that their anonymity should be protected during this situation. But she has 2 sons, a newborn and a 2-year-old, and she also has a husband named Braxton. She's known as Nurse Hannah on TikTok because she is a full-time nurse along with being a full-time mom talker. And the thing that she is most known for, and why I am calling her the 17 Diapers mom, is that in October, her content went viral when she posted a video of her collecting 17 diapers, used diapers, that she found all over her house after she was staying home with her newborn baby for the first day. And this sort of first blown up content really split the internet. I think that a lot of people sort of thought that's disgusting. You have diapers just like littered around your house. But I think a lot of other people felt like this was sort of a very vulnerable thing to be sharing about motherhood and parenting. It's not always easy and it's not always clean and your house is going to be a mess sometimes. And it even started a trend where some mothers would get on their TikToks and say that their 17 diapers story was something that happened with them that others would maybe find gross, but it's like that's just part of being a mom. So it was a very split reaction in terms of people were either kind of like, ew, or they were kind of like, okay, this is a really vulnerable, beautiful thing that you're doing by sharing this and sharing the realities of what it means to be a parent. And I kind of side with both on that one. Like, I'm not a parent, so I don't want to sit here and judge the 17 diapers situation because I'm like, I don't know what being postpartum feels like. I don't know what a house would look like being postpartum. I'm sure my house would be a disaster area if I had children and was postpartum. So I can like understand that perspective. I also just think though, and especially now that we know more about this situation, I think that this is eerily sinister to me only because I find it to be just the lack of hygiene. She does have a toddler and a newborn. Her toddler could be picking up and playing with these dirty diapers, which is a huge hygiene and health risk. See why the internet was split, and I think I'm kind of split on this whole 17 diapers thing. I can see it being a positive thing and I can see it being a good movement for mothers, especially new mothers, to share sort of the vulnerable sides of parenting. But I can also see the negative side of things where it's like that could be a risk for your child potentially. It's a biohazard for your child. Now, since then, it seems like people have been doing deep dives into Hannah's content before she sort of blew up, and we're finding some really troubling things. The first situation I want to talk about, there's a lot of situations, so you're going to have to bear with me because I'm just going to keep going, and then she said this, but that's kind of how this is. One of the first things that I found was that there's a clip of her basically saying that she doesn't want to buy her son a $34 coat because she just thinks that that's a ridiculous price point. And then there's videos of her son in the freezing cold where she's like, it's like 8 degrees and he's just wearing a long sleeve shirt and not wearing a coat. That seems not that serious, but the reason I'm kind of like listing all of these things is because compounded, it shows a very scary situation that's happening right in front of our eyes. Like, you might hear that and be like, oh, I forget my kid's jacket sometimes. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But when all of this is compounded, that's the problem. This one gets me really fucking heated. She locks her toddler in their room at night. And I just can't express how horrified I was when I learned this. She openly says that she locks her toddler in their room at night, and that the only way the toddler alerts them that something could be wrong or that they need to be let out in the morning is that the toddler literally just bangs on the door to alert his mother that he needs to be let out of the room. This is fucked. You're never supposed... I worked in childcare for a long time, and also I did research on this because I heard that, and I go, that doesn't sound like that's okay. And I asked my mom, I was like, did you ever lock me in my room when I was a toddler? And she was like, no, that's horrifying. You are not supposed to do that. So I looked into it, and you are absolutely not supposed to be locking your toddler in their room. Number one, it's a massive safety concern. You can't hear or like see visually anything that's going on in that room while your toddler is in there. They could be choking. There could be a health concern, number of issues that could be arising that your toddler has no way of letting you know about, because the only way they can get your attention is by pounding on a fucking door. It's also emotionally traumatizing. Children, you need to be teaching children how to cope with sleeping alone by doing different sleeping methods, and there's sleep training, and there's different self-soothing methods that you can use so your child isn't constantly walking in and out. Locking the door might seem like an easy thing to do, but it's emotionally very damaging for a child. There's been a ton of studies on this. I looked into a lot of it. And finally, and also it's a fire hazard, just first and foremost, it's a fire hazard and also just an emergency hazard. If something is seriously happening, say your child is choking, you have to now get through a locked door to get to them when precious seconds actually fucking matter in those situations. Treating your child like it's a puppy who needs to be caged and crated because it's going to be bad if it's not. That's not okay, and that's unacceptable. I'm like, the fact that she was just posting online that she does this case, I found it acceptable to lock your child in their room was if they are a sleepwalker or if they have some other sort of serious problem where it's really, really, really just not safe for them to be able to get out of their own room. But in those situations, you're supposed to have cameras. You're supposed to provide special sort of like support for that child, because that is a very emotionally damaging thing to have to go through. You don't just take a perfectly fine toddler and lock them in their bedroom at night and lock them away for 10 hours while they're supposed to be sleeping. That's unacceptable behavior. There's also clips surfacing of Hannah not adequately feeding her child and basically giving him like a pastry, half of a pastry, and saying that's his entire lunch, or she's eating food with her husband and her toddler is just standing there with no food or is trying to pick off of their plates, and that is seemingly all that toddler is eating. She also has said in a video, which this video was one of the worst things I saw. It was just her giving her unpopular opinion parenting hacks, which was, spoiler alert, her just describing her neglect for her children. Said that she will only make one dinner and that her child will eat that dinner, and if they don't want to eat that dinner, then they're not eating, basically. That was the gist of the video. She didn't exactly say if they don't eat it, they're not eating, but she explicitly said, I will not be making multiple dinners. You will not have Fruit Loops. You will not have goldfish. You won't have anything else if this dinner is not what you want. There's also clips of her shoving his hand away from food and flicking his hand away from some French fries. A lot of people have come forward to talk about how this might be pointing to an issue with food, how they might not be feeding him enough. And I think that that's a very fair assumption to make based on all of this, because you're not showing you show every aspect of your fucking life, but you can't show yourself feeding your toddler. When she does feed her toddler, apparently she won't cut up the food for him. She literally says, I won't cut up food into small bites for my child. Like, I won't give them a choking hazard, but I'll give them an entire strawberry. You shouldn't be giving a toddler an entire... Choking hazards are so real at that age. When I worked in daycare, that was the thing I was the most afraid of, and it actually happened once. We had a baby choke, and it was the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. I kid you not. It was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. Children can choke so easily on foods, and that's why it's not just like a mom hack or something to cut up food for your kid. It's not just like a parenting thing that it's like a trend to do that you're so cool because you're not fucking doing. No, it's basic care for your fucking child. I'm sorry. Cutting up their food and making sure it's adequately portion sized is basic care for your child. It's not some cool mom trend that you're above, okay? There's also clips where she basically talks about her open disdain for parenting and discusses the fact that she hates when her child wakes up early and that she will not wake up at 5 or 4 in the morning if her child wakes up. She just won't do that. That's scary. You have babies, you have a toddler. I get like not being enthused about having to wake up early in the morning, but that's also what you fucking sign up for when you have children. You're now waking up early in the morning. You are now on that child's schedule. Parents who want to bend the will of their children to force them to be on their schedule when they are the ones who decided to have children absolutely piss me the fuck off. And then go on social media, exploit those children, and then blame those children for having a bad night's sleep. Absolutely go fuck yourself. There's also clips of her saying that spanking is acceptable for children and that it teaches them a good lesson. What was the exact quote? It's better for children in the long run, spanking. That is just not true. It is disproven by every single study that is done on physical discipline for children. It is proven that physical discipline is not better for children in the long run and can be traumatizing. I am not saying that spanking is physical abuse. I have a very harsh opinion on touching children in any way. I probably shouldn't even share my opinion because I think it'll piss people off, but I have a very harsh opinion that you should never touch a child in any sort of danger, in any sort of violent way. But I understand that spanking is a part of our culture and some people believe it works. Personally, I think there's studies that show that it's incredibly damaging and harmful, but this one is like the most disgusting to me, besides the other big one that we're going to talk about in a second. But there's a clip of her in this video where she's like, things I do that other moms don't do. And she very proudly admits that when her toddler or child pees in a diaper, she doesn't change the diaper. She only changes her children's diapers if they poop in it. So if they pee in a diaper, they are not getting changed. They are sitting in their own piss for probably hours until they poop, and then she deems it worthy as a diaper to change. So I'm confused how she even had 17 fucking diapers lying around her house, because it seems like she only changes them once or twice a day. That had to have been like a week's worth of diapers if that's how often you're changing your children's diapers. Do you know how fucking disgusting that is? Do you know how terrible that is? That is neglect. I'm so sorry. This is where I was like, okay, so now like all of those things are just like, I disagree with you as a parent and I think you're doing the wrong thing, right? Like, I don't think you're doing the right thing for your child. 100%. Now we're in the territory of like, this is actual legitimate neglect. Not changing your child's diaper can cause diaper rashes. It can cause severe infections. It's just fucking uncomfortable for a child to have to sit with a full diaper because diapers get heavy and weighed down. So your child is just fucking uncomfortable all the time. I would guarantee those kids get crazy diaper rashes if what she's saying is true, because this is the other thing. A lot of what she's saying now is that she just was like rage baiting or posting sensational content to go viral. That's fucking crazy in and of itself. Using your children and the way that you parent them and thinking there's going to be no consequences to saying you don't change your kids' fucking diapers. Have you lost it? You don't. So you either don't change your kids' diapers or you're lying about it to get views and saying that you're neglecting your children for views. Both are fucking horrendous. Both are bad. Both make you a shitty person. However, the most recent video that has made her go viral, and the reason I am talking about this, and the reason a lot of people found out about this, she posted a video of her son and one of her vlogs, of her son and her husband in the grocery store. And her husband walks towards her son with like a box of ice cream, and her son flinches, pulls away, and puts his hand over his face as he's being handed this box of ice cream. This is not normal, okay? I'm so sorry. It's not normal for a child to be in a defensive measure when they're like that. I'm not a parent, but I did work with kids for a number of years. And I worked specifically with babies and toddlers. And it is not normal for a toddler to look terrified of their parents or terrified of an adult or terrified of an individual. It is not normal for a child to flinch away from their parents or their adults or an individual. And it is not fucking normal for them to cover their face and look afraid and flinch when someone is handing them something. That's not normal. The only time I saw that behavior, and I did see that behavior from kids, was when children were being. That was the only time I personally saw that. I cannot sit here legally and say that I think that that poor baby is going through something horrific. I'm like not allowed to say that legally, but I can say that the children that I had to report to CPS and had to do case calls on, those children, that was the behavior they were displaying. And it makes me sick to my fucking stomach that she just posted that and didn't even think twice about it, because that's such normal behavior for her son, because something very sick is happening in that household. Now, this clip went insanely viral and it caused a massive amount of uproar on TikTok, rightfully so, because what the fuck is happening in your house with your child? Like, what is going on? I think people were immediately up in arms, and I think that's the right reaction to have to something like that. I've seen some commentary online of people being like, it's an overreaction, it's just how kids are, they just flinch. Okay, I would so much rather, and this is actually, if you're a mandated reporter, you know, it's so much better to have an overreaction than an underreaction when we're talking about the safety and welfare of kids. I'm so sorry. It's so much better to have an overreaction, and so much better to be wrong, and so much better to have that overreaction and then it turns out nothing happened than it is to not have a reaction at all and not see warning signs when they are painfully right in front of us. I've seen a lot of concerns for Hannah herself because she is working full-time. She is a full-time nurse, very newly postpartum. So a lot of people have concerns and are worried that because she's postpartum, that's the reason a lot of this behavior is happening. And I can completely agree and see that happening as well, but that also means she needs fucking help. Like, if your postpartum is causing you to be neglectful towards your children, then you do need assistance. You need help with that. There's services that CPS can help you with. That doesn't mean that it should just be ignored or written off because she might be dealing with something that has to do with her postpartum. Now, Hannah did make a video sort of addressing all of this, and in that video, she really just sort of blames herself and also the audience for twisting a narrative that isn't true. She basically doubles down and says nothing is going on, nothing is wrong in my family. Everything that I've put out online, sometimes I like do satire to say that my husband is lazy, but that's just not true. He's obsessed with my son. Compared to YouTuber Ruby Frankie, who was sent to prison last year because of trials, which we could do a whole... I'm not ready to talk about 8 passengers, to be perfectly honest. I know a lot of people want me to make a video on that. I have not been ready to talk about that. That disturbed and bothered me to a point that I can't talk about it. A lot of people were comparing her to Ruby Frankie, to which she said that was the most absurd thing and that it was actually funny. She was like laughing, saying it's actually funny that people would compare me to her. You don't understand how comical that is if you know me in real life. And it's like, well, here's the thing. We don't know you in real life. And that's because you decided to put yourself on the internet and monetize and capitalize off of your children. And this is what happens when you do things like that. People care about you now. You're not invisible to the world anymore. People fucking care. Not only are you unnecessarily opening your children up to predators and opening them up to criticism, opening yourself up to criticism, you also now have people who fucking care about you and your family and care about your children. And when they see this type of disgusting pattern of behavior, they're going to call it out and they are going to say something. And I think part of that is because of Ruby Frankie. I think that really was a traumatizing thing for not only those children who were involved in that situation, but I think it was traumatizing for the internet because we realized that we were watching this abuse for years and didn't fucking know it and like had all these hunches and had all these things that we were like, this is sketchy that she's doing this. This is bad that she's doing this, but didn't know the full scope of how horrific it was. So now when something like this happens, you bet your ass people are going to call CPS. You bet your ass people are going to care significantly more than they used to. Because we saw someone lie to our faces for years saying everything was fine when those children were not fucking fine. I have a hunch that Nurse Hannah's children are not fucking fine. At the very minimum, they are being neglected. Not changing your children's diapers is neglect. That is the very minimum. At the maximum, there is some sort of abuse going on that needs to be uncovered. And luckily, a bunch of TikTokers did take this seriously and they did report her to the police, and she is now under police investigation and as a detective assigned to her case to look into the allegations of child abuse. And thank fucking God she does. We obviously need more involvement from the police. We need more investigations because children are being abused right in front of us and their abuse is being monetized and profited off of, and nobody's doing anything before this. So I'm glad that she had the cops called on her. I am glad that they are investigating. I hope that they are able to do a very thorough investigation and they are able to get to the bottom of this and do what is best for those children, because that is what is needed, and that is at the end of the day the only thing that fucking matters. Ignoring all of my feelings on family channels and how much I fucking hate them and how much I think they're exploitative, I'm at least almost glad that this was online, because this type of abuse, this type of neglect goes unnoticed so often. And I'm really, really thankful that it didn't this time, and that justice is being served and that something is happening. There are rumors that she's been arrested. There's been no confirmation by the police that she's been arrested, just to be clear. So she's not been arrested yet. She's just under investigation. I want to make that, as of right now of me filming this video, just want to make that perfectly clear. I don't know what else to say. I think this whole situation is so disgusting. I'm so utterly perplexed by how people can do this to their children in the first place, but then also be monetizing and capitalizing off of those same children at the same time. So she's filming her son and making money off of him while he's just sitting in his wet diapers being locked in his bedroom at night. Like, it repulses me. I could go on, but I like really need to stop, because I get really, really, really pissed about this stuff, and I don't know if it's healthy to be venting to all of you about how pissed I am. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. I'm pretty sure I have an idea what people are gonna say, but let me know. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, like and subscribe, or dislike, or just subscribe, or do neither. Glad you're here. My social media, other social medias, and my social justice spotlight will be linked down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Keep being vigilant about this shit. Seriously. The amount, I'm gonna like self-disclose for a second, the amount of just absolute gut-wrenching guilt I have about 8 passengers, and the amount of just like how horrifying that was, and like I made videos and saw warning signs and didn't do enough in that situation, is something I will never let happen in my career on this platform again. Because it literally keeps me up at night that we were watching that and didn't know how bad that was. Like, just keeps me up at night. And the guilt that I feel is immense for anything with that. So this type of situation, just seeing this again, it's so, I don't want to say triggering, but it's just so disgusting to see. And I'm so glad that something is being done about this, and it's not just being swept under the rug as of right now. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like this video. I already did the outro, but I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.